Many years ago, I worked with two brothers who hated each other. They could not be in the same room without fighting. And if one of them walked in the kitchen, the other one would leave. Family dinners were brutal with these two. They argued, they were sarcastic, they insulted each other, and parents had given up. They actually stopped trying to fix it. They told themselves, and they later told me that this was what they called normal sibling conflict. They believed it was normal. The brothers are now adults. They will not talk to each other. Last year, dad got sick and they couldn't even come together on trying to figure out how to take care of their dad. And when I look at these two boys, these young men now, I just think what a tragedy it is that they never learned how to work out their differences. What a tragedy it is that they never learned how to have a good relationship with each other. They never learned how to resolve conflict. I believe a big part of that is because parents viewed this as normal. A lot of parents will view sibling conflict as normal and then they'll just let it go. Or maybe they're too tired to do anything about it. I've worked with thousands of families, and this happens far more often than you'd think. But I've also seen families where siblings love each other and they see each other as their best friends. I know four siblings in particular, they adore each other. They check in on each other. They show up for each other when life is hard or when they want to celebrate with each other. I'm telling you, this did not happen by accident. Their parents were intentional about how those kids had conflicts and dealt with conflicts when they were younger. So again, most parents think that sibling conflict is normal. A little bit of bickering, some competition, the occasional fight. And I guess you're right. That is normal. Conflict certainly is normal. But there is a line. There is definitely a line. When that line gets crossed over and over, we're not talking about sibling rivalry anymore. We're talking about something far more serious. It's about 10 or 15 years ago that I came across the term sibling trauma. And I had actually been working already with many kids who showed symptoms consistent with PTSD, nightmares, anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, self-harm. And for many of those kids, that trauma actually came from their siblings. It came from the mistreatment that they got from their siblings. I will never forget the boy. This was a few years ago. He had scars on his body from his older brother. That's how frequent the physical attacks were. And now every time this poor kid looks in the mirror, he is reminded of it. It's almost like he has to re-experience the trauma every time he sees himself in the mirror. He has these scars that shows it. There's another boy who told me what it was like growing up with a brother who humiliated him on a daily basis. He'd call him stupid. He'd call him ugly. And this was a kid who actually had some real learning struggles in school. School was already really difficult for him. So being called stupid, that really cut deep for him. And I can't even describe to you the look on his face when he talked to me about this. And he also would tell me how he thought this was normal because it was so common in his family. We have a lot of research that tells us that kids who are bullied by their siblings are more likely to be depressed as young adults. These same studies tell us that sibling bullying can lead to a whole host of other issues: anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicidal thoughts. And I don't think most parents realize how damaging the bullying can be because we chalk it off as conflict. We call it sibling rivalry. And without intervening, you are contributing to your child's trauma. I do believe that sometimes parents are kind of in survival mode themselves. They stop noticing the impact this has had because they're so busy, they're so stressed out. And maybe it's just been the norm for them for so long that they can't see it clearly anymore. But there are times that parents tell themselves, well, this is just how siblings are. I'm here to tell you this is not how siblings should be. We have to put a stop to this. There's something we need to understand first. If you're going to address sibling bullying or sibling rivalry or sibling conflict, how you treat your children matters. And actually, as a couple, if you have a partner, how you treat each other as a couple matters. Your relationships with them, whether it's with them, with your spouse, or with anyone else, siblings or parents, your relationships, that forms the foundation of their model for how to have relationships. So how you resolve conflicts with them and with each other, that's what they're watching. We are the model. And That's the most important factor in helping them have loving relationships with their siblings. That is why connection in our home with our kids, relationships with our kids, and between our kids and with our spouse is so critical. If you want your kids to repair their relationships with each other, you better be doing that too. So, what can we do about this as parents? Number one, like I just said, be the model that they need. Also, I want you to stop thinking that sibling bonds just happen naturally without learning how to resolve conflicts. Sibling relationships need the same caring attention as any other important relationship in our life. I'll tell you, in our family, we have a zero tolerance policy for cruelty. There is no name calling, no mocking, no physical aggression ever. And when conflict does happen, we don't just separate them and tell them to move on. We're certainly not going to let them fight it out. We make our kids work through it. We require them to resolve their conflicts. They have to listen to each other. They have to try to see each other's perspectives. We spend time talking with them about how to resolve conflicts, how to apologize. And we model and teach them how to apologize, how to accept an apology. Again, there's a lot of research that tells us that when kids learn healthy conflict resolution early, they have much better relationships in their life. So this is a gift that you can give them. They're going to be more emotionally intelligent. They're going to be better at maintaining friendships. So again, think of this as a gift that you can give your kids for a lifetime. But these things don't happen naturally. They have to be taught. They have to be reinforced. And here's another thing. You should not compare your kids with each other, even subtle comparisons. It's really easy to say this to some kids. Why can't you just be like your brother? Why can't you just be like your sister? Your brother never had problems with homework like this. And you might think that's an encouragement, but when kids hear this, they see themselves as being less than their siblings. And over time, your comparisons will turn siblings into competitors instead of friends. In our family, we work very hard at creating connections between siblings. Be proactive about this. Build shared experiences. Build family traditions. These don't have to be big things. It can be a Saturday morning breakfast. It could be a Sunday night dinner. We've been doing Sunday night movie nights in our home for decades. And kids also can work on projects together. They can do chores together. We as parents have to be proactive in building relationships and building family traditions before the problems arise. Another expectation you should have is them serving each other. They should take care of each other. They should do things for each other. It should be a normal expectation within your family. If one kid has a big project, other kids can help pitch in. If somebody's sick, siblings can bring snacks. They can help with chores. There is just a sort of mentality that we want to instill where we have each other's backs and have to be intentional in doing this. One more comment about research again. There's studies on family resilience that show that families with strong sibling bonds can recover from serious stress, even trauma. Kids who feel supported by their siblings have lower rates of anxiety, depression, and a whole host of other mental health issues. And I think it's because they have this built-in support system. What a gift you can give your kids if you can develop and instill this in them. I remember one family that started doing this a few years ago. They started using these basic strategies with their kids who were constantly fighting, and it only took them a couple of months for things to get better. So instead of, running to mom and dad every time there was a conflict, the kids started to work things out because the parents required that of them. Also, for relationships that need repair, despite our best efforts, sometimes kids are going to drift apart. Resentments are going to build up. That actually is really normal in most families. But you still have to step in and be proactive. You can't force closeness, but you can create positive opportunities to connect and reconnect. And you can teach conflict resolution skills. A basic conflict resolution skill is simply how to apologize and how to accept an apology. If you feel like you're nowhere close to this, I don't want you to lose hope. I've seen this before over and over. Sibling relationships can be healed, but it takes intention on your part. It takes boundaries, it takes shared experiences, it takes consistent repair when harm has already been done. And even if the hurt has been deep and long lasting, you can do this. Sometimes it might take professional help to rebuild the trust, but I promise you it is worth it. It is worth the time and effort you'll put into this. When your kids leave home, they're going to spend more time with their siblings than they will with you. And these relationships can become a treasure to them. So the way you shape these relationships now will ripple forward for the rest of their lives. Remember the two brothers I was talking about. They never learned how to work through conflict together. Your kids don't have to end up like this, but it will not happen on accident. So what I want you to do is pick one relationship between your kids that might need some attention. Maybe it's the whole family. Maybe it's two kids who clash a lot. Choose one specific strategy that we talked about today and commit to that. Maybe you're going to set clear boundaries about name calling, about how they treat each other. Remember, 0 tolerance for cruelty. You cannot allow kids to bully each other. Maybe you're going to create a new tradition that they can share. Maybe you'll teach them a conflict resolution skill, like simply how to apologize. And you don't have to do this all at once. You can just pick one thing and commit to that. And then watch what happens, watch what changes, and notice not only how your kids are going to be different, but how your whole family will feel different. Sometimes it is the smallest shifts that can create these big transformations. Now, if you want step-by-step guidance on building these connections, I've created a course called Connection and Credibility. It will walk you through exactly how to strengthen your relationships with your kids and how they can strengthen their relationships with each other. It is a course on relationships, and the principles will apply across your family and all relationships. You can find all of this at drtoddtalks.com. But if you're not ready for the full course, I have dozens and dozens of free videos, podcast episodes, and articles on my website, drtoddtalks.com. Just pick one strategy. Try that. Again, those two brothers, now they're in their 30s and they hate each other still. I don't want your kids to end up like this. In fact, they can grow up having the best, most meaningful relationships in their lives with their siblings. And what a gift you can give them. You build this by starting today, one intentional choice at a time. All right, I'll see you next time.